Yo friends, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com back again with the second news update of a news heavy day. We have three big news stories to talk about, the first of which concerns WWE's new signing policy, given this whole new landscape of talent potentially being tempted by AEW, maybe a bit of Ring of Honor, that sort of thing. WWE have taken some bold steps, let's say that. Also, we're going to talk about a massive reason why Kushida apparently left New Japan Pro Wrestling. He is, of course, heavily rumoured to be heading off to WWE, but apparently beforehand, sometime last year, there was a bit of a storyline kind of thing rejected, which may have encouraged him to leave. And finally, we're going to talk about Kevin Owens and his likely date of return. Apparently, he has been cleared for a return, but it won't be immediate. In fact, it's kind of an interesting date, really. So yeah, let's waste no further time and let's get on with it. And let's take a look at all of the news. First of all, according to various websites, I think the first one was probably the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Basically, WWE have been saying, apparently, to various indie stars who may be coming into the company that they can match any offer that has been given to them, well, on paper, in writing, by another promotion. So this, I think, is a pretty obvious way of combating the appeal of AEW. We know that All Elite Wrestling is backed by some pretty heavy hitters in the financial world, and it looks as though WWE are really ramping up their efforts to kind of ensnare the top indie talent from around the world for themselves. So it provides a lot of wrestlers with a big dilemma, I guess. Do they go to WWE where they know that their offer will be matched, or do they join, if in the case of AEW, for example, this new exciting venture that is backed by some very rich men? It's a good dilemma, of course, because it obviously means more money for wrestlers who deserve it, who've put in years and years of hard work. Another very interesting little addition to this storyline is that apparently as well, for certain stars, WWE have even offered to double the offer they've already been given, provided they sign on the spot. That is absolutely massive and really shows just the lengths that WWE are willing to go to stop the top talent from heading to AEW and to secure them within their own fold. It's a really, really exciting and interesting time in the wrestling landscape, and I have no doubt that 2019 is shaping up to be a very interesting year, even if we don't really start to see the long-term ramifications make themselves clear until 2020. I still think that 2019 will be looked back upon as potentially a very groundbreaking year in the history of professional wrestling. In other news, we know that Kushida is very likely to be heading to WWE soon, after many years being the stalwart, the ace of New Japan's junior heavyweight division. But apparently a big reason why he left was because of a storyline that was turned down. According to Dave Meltzer, Kushida actually wanted to turn heel and to join the Bullet Club, but New Japan decided against that. The booking was like, no, we're not going to really do that. Of course, Gedo is the head booker over in New Japan. The reason for this was because Kushida is very much the constant in the junior heavyweight division up until his recent sort of decision to leave the company, but he was always the constant babyface, often champion of the junior division, the equivalent almost of Hiroshi Tanahashi. And then various other competitors for his junior heavyweight title were either outright heels, such as members of Suzuki Gun, or even when LIJ were a bit more heelish, you had people like Takahashi and Bushi. But then you would have other guys who weren't necessarily heels, but were representing another one of New Japan's factions. I'm thinking mainly of Will Ospreay in Chaos. Kushida obviously wasn't affiliated with one of these factions. He was more of the sort of Taguchi Japan, sort of general babyface, good guy, de facto faction, I suppose. And because of that, New Japan didn't want him to turn heel and leave this sort of vacuum right in the center of the division. But imagine how crazy it would have been to see Kushida, like the ultimate babyface, the ultimate good guy in New Japan, turn heel and join the Bullet Club. I kind of wish it had happened, not just because we would have seen Kushida continue his career in New Japan, but because it would have been, I think, a really truly seismic storyline. Instead, however, this whole heel turn scenario was turned down, and it meant that Kushida was eventually going to leave. And now we know that he is going to leave, but he's done the job, essentially, to use an industry term. On the way out, he's put guys over. He obviously lost clean to Taiji Ishimori, the new junior heavyweight champion at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, and also has been rewarded apparently for his professionalism and for the good grace in which he took the rejection of this storyline with a big singles match, the final match of his in New Japan against Hiroshi Tanahashi, the first singles match between two of the company's biggest modern legends. And finally, we're going to talk about Kevin Owens, because apparently, again according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he has been cleared for a return to the ring, but it won't be anytime soon, for quite mysterious reasons, I suppose. There was no sort of elaboration on this, and I've not seen any other sites elaborate on it further. Kevin Owens is apparently scheduled to return sometime after, not the Royal Rumble, but after WrestleMania, which is crazy to me. I thought that Kevin Owens, once he'd returned, himself and Sami Zayn would, at least find their way onto the WrestleMania 35 card. But apparently, that's not the case at all. Himself and, well, I don't know about Sami Zayn, but he will only be returning after WrestleMania. Maybe it'll be one of those big returns, one of those big angles on the Raw after WrestleMania. But yeah, this really took me by surprise. Owens and Zayn, myself and Sam have been talking about, are kind of big candidates in our mind for people who may be tempted away to All Elite Wrestling, depending of course on when their contracts run out and if they can be granted their release. But Owens and Zayn are two indie legends. That was their sort of forte before joining WWE, especially in promotions like Ring of Honor, PWG, the sort of promotions that have really inspired All Elite Wrestling and will really provide a lot of talent for All Elite Wrestling. Maybe unintentionally, but it's all that sort of same ecosystem. I wonder if this whole strange scenario is something to do with WWE trying really hard to keep Kevin Owens on board, maybe adjusting his contract or something, but that is pure speculation, I don't know. But yeah, personally, I find that quite disappointing news. I'd like to see Owens back as soon as possible. He's one of my favourite wrestlers on the current roster, but at the same time, at least we know that we're going to see him again sometime in the relatively near future. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this second news update of the day, you lucky, lucky devils. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to, at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic. And check out our Patreon as well, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, if you haven't done so already, to hit subscribe and to join us.